Hey, welcome back, guys. We are going to continue reading and discussing The Obstacle is the Way by Ryan Holiday. We've covered quite a few of the pillars in the perception section, and we will continue along those lines here with this chapter. We've talked a good amount of variety of various topics, such as kind of changing your perspective, controlling your emotions, disciplining your perspective and perception, um, just different ways of mentally kind of seeing things from all angles when we're talking about how to deal with obstacles and a lot of really good stuff. Today's message is really not so much on maybe those lines as it is just a very good life message. And so today, this chapter we'll be talking about live in the present moment. And I will preface this one by saying, great chapter for overthinkers like myself in realizing and leveraging the power of the present moment and the action that goes with that. I think can be a real game changer to know that no matter what you kind of overthink or predict in your head, all of it is truly fantasy until it is within the present moment and trying to live there. So I'll be reading out of the book maybe more this time around than I ever have up until this point, but there's a lot of good stuff in here. So let's dive in. Yet in our own lives, we aren't content to deal with the things as they happen. We have a we have to dive endlessly into what everything means, whether something is fair or not, what's behind this or that, and what everyone else is doing. Then we wonder why we don't have the energy to actually deal with our problems. Or we get so worked up and intimidated because of the overthinking that if we'd just gotten the work, we'd probably be done already. Our understanding of the world of business is all mixed up with these storytelling and mythologies. So essentially, this kicks things off to say, we can end up wasting so much time and energy trying to figure out through overthinking, over analysis, that if we just got to work, likely we'd have things figured out. To keep that going, a business must take operating constraints of the world around it as it is given and work for whatever gains are possible. Those people with the entrepreneurial spirit are like animals blessed to have no time and no ability to think about the ways things should be or how they'd prefer them to be. The point is that most people start from disadvantage, and this is just speaking in general terms in business and in life, I suppose, for that matter. Um, and they do just fine. It's not unfair. It's just universal. Those who survive it survive because they took things day by day. That's the real secret. And I really underscored this back half here because I think if you're trying to start anything incredibly cool or business or your career, anything that is going to take a long endurance and energy output, most of the time it is a disadvantage because you don't know a lot of things. You don't know maybe most skills and leadership and other elements that you're going to have to obtain. But the trick is that it's all universal, right? Everyone's in some way starting from that point. Whether they are or they not is not necessarily relevant, as he talks about. It's not unfair. It's just universal. Those who survive it survive because they took things day by day and just worked. They didn't overthink about these disadvantages. They just got to work, which is huge. The next kind of meat here, for the most part, a lot of businesses had little awareness that they were in some historical significant depression. And this is referring to a lot of Fortune 500 companies that started in very bad times. Why? Because the founders were too busy existing in the present, actually dealing with situations at hand. They didn't know whether it would be a good decision or a bad decision. They just knew that it was. They had a job they wanted to do and a great idea. They believed in our product that they thought they could sell, and they knew they had payroll to meet. So really, what this is saying is that the present moment was so demanding that it didn't even matter if they had time to kind of sit back and contemplate. They just needed to get things done, which, as he is alluding to as a general theme, can be the most powerful thing because you're not wasting that time. You're just going and doing, and there's a lot of power in that. Um, for all species other than humans, things are just what they are. Our problem is that we're always trying to figure out what most things mean, why things are the way they are, as though the why matters. As Emerson put it, we cannot spend the day in explanation. Don't waste time on false constructs, which is really, really good. It doesn't matter whether this is the worst time to be alive or the best, whether you're good at the job market or whether you're in a good job market or bad, or the obstacles you face is intimidating or burning. What matters is right now. The implication of our obstacles are theoretical. They exist in the past and in the future. We live in the moment. And the more we embrace that, the easier the obstacle will be to face and to move. You can take on the trouble you're dealing with and use it as an opportunity to focus on the present moment, to ignore the totality of the situation, and to learn to be content with what happens as it happens. To have no way that the future needs to be confirmed in your predictions because you didn't make any. Essentially, you're so just in the trench working that you didn't have the time to even worry about the future because you needed to be in the present working. Let each new moment be a refreshing, wiping clear what came before, what others were hoping, and what others were hoping would come next. And then just to round things out here, one thing is certain. It's not simply a matter of saying, oh, I'll live in the present moment. You have to work in it. You have to catch your mind when it wanders. Don't let it get away from you. Discard distracting thoughts. Leave things enough alone, no matter how much you feel like doing otherwise. But it's easier when the choice to limit your scope feels like editing rather than acting. Remember that this moment is not your life. It's just a moment in your life. Focus on what is in front of you right now and ignore what it represents or what it means or why it happened to you. There are plenty else things going on right now to care about any of that. So going back to, again, the great chapter for overthinkers and over analytics and things like that. When I read this really hit home for me because I do spend often too much time in these things, and really it just needs to be the next thing forward. Because once you complete the work, you're satisfied that you have completed the work rather than thinking you need to complete the work, and then that postpones to not thinking or not doing rather. So hopefully you guys took a lot away from this one. If you have to go back and kind of reread it, I had to reread this specific pillar maybe 2 or 3 times to really get the full kind of presentation from it. But I really do think it was very, very powerful to be, remind yourself that it doesn't matter kind of what's going on around you. It matters what direction you're heading and what's in front of you. So let's keep reading, guys.